What's up guys, and welcome to my very first YouTube video. My first YouTube video where I'm actually in front of the camera and not behind it. It's a slightly different experience and I'm myself, but hey, let's do it. I've been in the industry for the last 7 years now as a director, DOP, editor, and colorist, and I'm self-taught. I would say 90% of what I know actually comes from places like YouTube. So I felt like now, after being in the industry for as long as I have, which isn't actually that long, I'm not that old, I've learned some really cool things. And I think myself and my team have created some really great content, and it's about time for me to share some of my knowledge with you all. So in this tutorial, I'm going to break down 2 lighting setups from 2 separate music videos that I myself have shot. And I'm also going to touch on the uses of hard and soft lighting, as well as the use of complementary colors in your lighting palette. The first music video we're going to look at is from a band called Rubber Duck, and the music video is called Feet. This music video was filmed over 2 days with the skeleton crew, and when I say skeleton crew, it means literally 2 people, myself and my wife, who is like yee-haw. So before you even start a project, you need to know where you want to go with it in terms of the visuals, in terms of the look and feel, before we even start with a project. What sort of look are you going for? Are you going for a bright, high-key image, or are you going for a more moody and dramatic image? Be it a music video, a corporate, a commercial, it doesn't matter. If you don't know where you're going with the project before you even start filming, you're going to end up with a lot of problems. So for this specific music video, I was going for a very natural filmic feel to my visuals. So for the exterior scenes, I only wanted to use natural light with no help from any artificial lighting or even the bouncing of light. And I did this by filming at the later parts of the day when the sun is at its lowest point in the sky, because when you do that, it's not as harsh as, say, filming at midday. For the interior scene, I wanted a darker, moodier, low-key image. And the reason why I wanted that is because I wanted the lighting to reflect sort of the emotions that the characters themselves were experiencing. And those emotions consisted of turmoil, struggling financially, although they were very much in love. I wanted it to be dramatic. Hence, I went for a 1 light setup. This key or source light was a 2.5K HMI, and that light was coming in from outside of the window into the room to fill up the ambience of the room, but to also light my subject. HMIs are very powerful sources of light that kind of mimic the color and quality of the sun, and you get lots of different strengths of HMI. And the reason why I went for 2.5K HMI is because it runs off normal house power. If you go any bigger, you have to use a generator. Aside from the HMI being my key light, I also had a few cheap LED tubes which acted as practicals and also assisted in sort of highlighting my subjects and also bringing up the ambience of the room a bit. There was a see-through curtain in front of the window, and I used that see-through curtain to partially soften or diffuse the light, to once again give my subjects more of a wraparound of light on their faces. If you don't really understand what the softening of light is all about, well, it's really quite simple. Let's take an overcast day as an example, which is something that we experienced on the very first day of filming. You see, when you film on an overcast day, the sun, your key light, is being softened by the clouds. And when that sun is softened, it can be quite pleasing on skin tones because there's little to no shadows on your subjects' faces. In contrast, hard lighting is when you don't diffuse the light and you have defined edges to those shadows. Here's an example. This is a photograph I took of one of my clients for his album cover. And for this photograph, I was using a flash. Now, a flash can be a very harsh source of light if you don't diffuse it. And that's exactly what I was going for here, because hard lighting, in contrast, once again, to soft lighting, creates harsher shadows. And that's exactly what I wanted here. and hence you can see the very dark shadows on the one side of his face as well as on the back wall. And here's another example of hard lighting from a music video I filmed recently. This dancer is being lit by one key light, and that one key light is an aperture 120D with no diffusion on it. I really enjoy one light setups, whether it's a planned one light setup or you simply just don't have the budget and you can only afford to have one light on set. It's just a great way to practice your lighting game. Whether it's diffused and soft or not diffused and hard, how are you going to light your subject? How are you going to light your environment with only one light? The next music video we're going to look at is from an artist called Flames, and the music video is called Money Today. The budget for this music video was not large, and I could only have 2 lights on set. For a music video that was shot in the evening with a large majority of the scenes being inside, this was quite a tricky situation to be in. In this specific scene of the music video, I'm using both of the lights, one as a key light and the other as a backlight. The key light was an Aperture Lightstorm LED panel, which I set to tungsten because I wanted a warm source of light on my subject. I also softened that light by using a see-through gel. And as I said before, softening the light can be very flattering on your subject's face. In this shot, I was kind of roaming with the camera between the artist Flames and the extras on set. Whenever I felt like the extras were doing sort of something interesting in my peripheral, I would just whip the camera from the artist over to the extras. And because we only had one light, I needed that light to be able to move wherever the camera was directing itself. So what I had my assistant do is take the key light or LED panel and place it on a light stand. And then once he did that, he just held it overhead, and whenever I panned the camera, he would just swivel with the light. And it made for some really interesting visuals. My second light or backlight is an Aperture 120D with a blue gel in it. Now I placed the blue gel in it not only because it looks cool, but I also wanted to create a color contrast between the warm tungsten light on my subjects and the blue lit background. The reason why I did that is because it helps sort of make your subjects pop out from the background. When you do this, it's known as using complementary colors. You'll often find it in films, and I use it all the time just because it's so effective, and because, as the name suggests, using complementary colors is sort of complementary. So that brings me to the end of my first video. Hopefully you learned something. I promise you on future episodes, when I do sort of music video lighting breakdowns, I will have behind the scenes footage for you. And hopefully, because it's my first tutorial video, you'll give me a pass on that and you won't be too harsh. If you did enjoy the video though, please like it, share it, subscribe. Yeah, it's been fun. If you want to get into touch with me on other social media platforms, be sure to click on the description of this video. All that information is down there. And until next time, cheers.